Hello dear viewers, and welcome back to Whispers of Turkish Stars. Before we dive in, remember to subscribe, tap that like button, and share this video with your friends who adore heartfelt celebrity moments. Your support keeps us bringing you the most intimate glimpses into the lives of the stars you love. Today's update is warm, quiet, and deeply personal, a story that feels like a soft exhale after a long week. Ozan Baba and Sinem slipped away for a mountain retreat, and what unfolded in that secluded lodge has gently taken over social media timelines. These two, who carry a mix of on-screen electricity and off-screen tenderness, chose a discreet mountain lodge for a weekend escape. The setting was pure serenity, towering pines, mist curling through valleys, sunlight breaking in thin ribbons over distant peaks, and air so crisp it almost rang. Sources say this location was carefully chosen for privacy, a place where they could unplug, shut out the static of the city, step away from the lights and lenses of set life, and listen to the hush of the mountains. It wasn't about hiding. It was about breathing. When they arrived, even those nearby felt the atmosphere soften. Staff described them as gentle, polite, and focused on soaking in the surroundings rather than attracting attention. Sinem wore a simple knit sweater and leggings, her hair tucked casually, the picture of relaxed elegance. Ozan kept it classic, a flannel shirt and jeans that looked lived in and comfortable, the kind of outfit that says, "I'm here to be present." Fans who later caught glimpses online noticed the same thing, the easy smiles, the way they leaned toward each other without thinking, the calm that seemed to follow them like a shadow. Inside, the lodge felt like a scene from a quietly cinematic winter story. Wood-paneled walls, lamps softened with warm shades, and a fireplace that spoke in crackles. The main room quickly became their anchor, the heart of the house, with worn rugs, plush armchairs, and blankets draped as if waiting precisely for this visit. According to those who saw it, they gravitated there the moment they set down their bags. The first thing they did wasn't to check phones or make calls. It was to brew a small pot of tea and sort out the kitchen together. Ozan attempted a dark, strong coffee with a seriousness that made Sinem laugh, and she, half-teasing, half-teaching, guided him with playful patience. A brief clip of that moment made its way online, shared quietly first, then picked up by fans who described it as the purest, most unguarded thing they've seen from the two in months. It was ordinary, yes, but that's why it landed so deeply. Once they'd settled in, the mountains called them outside. They followed trails where the earth still carried the damp scent of last night's fog. The air felt cooler in shaded patches, warmer where the sun found space to spill through the trees. Sinem paused often, raising her phone for photos of the mist hovering over the valleys, the sun threading itself through branches, the clean geometry of distant ridgelines. Ozan walked beside her, pointing out twisted roots or unusual stones and making gentle jokes that loosened the day. It wasn't a march with a destination, it was the kind of walk that unravels the mind. Fans who saw the photos later said you could feel the hush through the screen. Back at the lodge, the evening eased in. The main room, that welcoming heart, glowed as if it had been waiting for them. The fireplace murmured in spit sparks in brief, bright bursts. Pillows and blankets turned the seating into a kind of nest, and the world beyond those walls grew blurry. They curled into that warmth, speaking in quiet tones and letting their voices compete with the rustle of the fire. No flashing lights, no red carpets, no urgent calls from a producer's assistant. Just two people in soft sweaters and flannel, sipping something warm and letting the day unwind. Those who were there described the scene as a perfect negotiation between closeness and quiet. A space where their connection got to breathe. One of the sweetest surprises of the night was a small game session. A few close friends had joined them on the trip, not an entourage, but a tiny circle that knows when to talk and when to stay silent. The group pulled out board games, a deck of cards, and a couple of playful challenges that invited laughter without demanding too much energy. The room filled with friendly competition. Little alliances formed, rules were teased into flexibility, and the kind of laughter that belongs only to relaxed people spilled into the corners. From the brief clips that surfaced online, it's clear, even while doing something as simple as rolling dice or laying down a card, Ozan and Sinem radiated a chemistry that felt cinematic. No rehearsals, no retakes, just a rhythm that works. As night deepened, the lodge gathered itself into something even more enchanting. The lights dimmed. The fire held the room like a memory. The scent of pine seeped in from the open balcony door. Ozan and Sinem found themselves in long conversation, the kind that wanders from funny stories to quiet confessions and back again. They talked about past scenes that left fingerprints on their hearts, about roles that changed how they see themselves, about ideas for what might come next. There was no rush to fill silence, they let pauses linger long enough to mean something. Fans who encountered small snippets online immediately recognized the glow of the moment, not staged romance, but the kind of companionship that grows in steady, deliberate ways. Dinner felt like a reflection of the setting, not flashy, but deeply satisfying. Local chefs prepared a spread that celebrated the mountain itself. Grilled vegetables glazed lightly for a whisper of sweetness, fresh bread with a crust that sang under the knife, a handful of simple regional specialties that insisted on being savored slowly. Ozan and Sinem didn't sit back and wait to be served, they helped, arranging plates, bringing small bowls to the table, passing dishes with a soft smile, making sure everyone had a bit of everything. The mood was easy, unpretentious, quietly joyful. Conversations drifted like the steam that rose from bowls, and there was a feeling in the room that this was exactly where they were meant to be. After dinner, the sky called them out again. Blankets were spread across the balcony, the kind that shield you from chill but let you feel the night. Above, a sweep of stars revealed itself so clearly that it felt like you could trace the constellations with your fingertips. Ozan pointed out familiar shapes. Sinem looked up with the focused awe of someone who doesn't take beauty for granted. Every so often their hands found each other, not dramatically, but in small, unshakable assurances. People who saw the brief balcony clip online wrote variations of the same thing: "This is why we care." Not for the headlines or the premieres, but for moments like this, simple and real. Before they retreated to their rooms, they circled back to the fireplace as if to seal the day. They spoke about gratitude. For the quiet, for the privacy, for a chance to hear their own thoughts and to listen to each other without a clock ticking. There were private jokes, the kind that land with a look. There were small promises to hold on to this ease when the city beckoned them back. Those close to them say it was a rare, necessary pause, a way to refill the well that their work often drains. It wasn't the kind of night they'll boast about. It was the kind they'll remember. Morning arrived in clean lines. The sun came up over the ridges, slow and pale, and the world moved from blue to gold in a quiet crescendo. Ozan and Sinem shared a hushed breakfast near a window that offered a panoramic sweep of the mountains. Steam curled from their cups, the table held a modest spread that matched their mood: eggs, fruit, bread, local honey. There was an ease in their expressions that you can't posture or purchase. It comes only from feeling like you are exactly where you need to be. The clips that filtered online showed relaxed smiles, the kind of eye contact that tells you people are in sync. Comments poured in quickly: admiration, relief, affection, with fans calling it a little love story written in pine and stone. What made this retreat resonate so strongly wasn't grandiosity but intention. They didn't perform for the camera or stage picture perfect scenes, they let the day be what it was and allowed the quiet to do its work. From the modest arrival to the shared tea, from the unhurried walk to the fireside lull, every moment felt less like a production and more like a return. It's rare for celebrities to share something that feels both open and protected at the same time, and yet here it was, a still life of two people making room for each other. Fans noticed the details. The way Sinem steadied a mug before passing it to Ozan, the way he adjusted a blanket around her shoulders without breaking a sentence, the way their laughter blended without overpowering the room. They noticed how the friends who joined them fit in like stones placed just right in a stream, shaping the flow without disturbing it. And they noticed how dinner wasn't about taste alone but about presence. This wasn't a weekend designed for headlines. It was the opposite. A weekend that rearranged energy, one quiet moment at a time. Behind the scenes, insiders say this escape had been in the works for a while. Their schedules have been stacked: days that start before dawn, nights that don't know when to end, scripts marked with notes and hearts and questions. The lodge represented a promise they'd made to each other, that busy was not going to rob them of intention. They chose a location almost invisible on a map, a place where a road narrows into a thought. Privacy wasn't a strategy, it was a kindness. To themselves, to each other, to whatever it is they're still discovering together. In a world where so much is curated, this felt uncurated on purpose. The board games weren't brand new. The mugs didn't match. The blankets had a history. And yet the sum of it all formed something beautiful, a reminder that intimacy thrives in the imperfect. Their conversation about future projects, potential roles, scripts that tug, collaborations that spark, seemed less like career calculus and more like a shared creative daydream. Watching them talk, you get the sense that what they build together is bigger than any single premiere. Even the stargazing moment carried a quiet personal rhythm. Ozan's hand traced a path through the sky, and Sinem followed, asking a question, smiling at his certainty, naming a constellation differently just to see him challenge her with mock seriousness. The balcony clip didn't catch the whole exchange, of course. No clip could. But what made it out tells enough: two people making a small universe under a big one. By the time their short weekend neared its end, the lodge had become a character in their story, wood that keeps secrets, windows that hold memories, a fireplace that can listen. They tidied their cups, folded the blankets, touched the backs of chairs the way you do when you're grateful for a space. On their last walk to the car, the staff saw the same calm they brought in, perhaps deepened. There was no rush, no scramble. Just a final look at the view as if to memorize it, and a quiet understanding that you don't leave places like this, they leave with you. Social media's response was immediate and tender. Comments called the trip a breath of fresh air, a mountain-wrapped love letter, a reminder that not every meaningful day has to be loud. Some said they felt soothed just watching, others said it inspired them to plan their own small retreat. And a few captured the essence in a single line: it's not about grand gestures, it's about choosing each other in the simple moments. This retreat showed a side of Ozan Baba and Sinem that resonates far beyond publicity cycles, a side filled with warmth, playfulness, and the unassuming honesty of everyday gestures. From the glow of the fireplace to the laughter over a game, from the first sip of tea to the last look at the stars, everything pointed to a bond that doesn't need a spotlight to shine. It's the version of them that fans carry in the quiet part of their admiration: real people, doing real life, with care. If you found comfort in this glimpse, if you felt the room soften, the air clear, the evening settle, you're not alone. That feeling is what everyone's been sharing. And if you stayed with us to the end of this story, we're grateful for your trust in Whispers of Turkish Stars. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so we can keep bringing you these rare, intimate chapters from the lives of your favorites. We'll be back very soon with more exclusive stories, tender behind-the-scenes moments, and the updates that make you feel like you were there. Until then, may your evenings be warm, your mornings calm, and your stories honest. And may we all find, in our own ways, a little lodge in the mountains to call our own, if only for a weekend.